Welcome to Psychic Holistic Spotlight. I'm your host, Josie Way, and tonight co-hosting with me, I have Ken Demers and Kathy Medeiros, and our guest is Andy Grant. He is an energy coach. He does Akashic Records. He's initiated in the Mystery School, and he does soul entrainment, which I am just beginning to learn about, and I am fascinated in. I'm told that if you have questions of your soul, you ask them, and then you go under hypnosis. You go in and you're able to talk with your soul and get the answers to your questions. That is very cool.
Yeah, and I wouldn't call it hypnosis, 'cause that implies
a light,
I'm
light
putting
trance.
the notion that you're going to talk to your soul and it's tricking you like you're going to run around and be a chicken, and it's not really like that.
No.
We use some hypnosis techniques to get you into a very relaxed state. So that's the only part that's like hypnosis.
Like an alpha.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and so there's a kind of common countdown from 10 to 1 to get you to be really relaxed. And then there's an induction to call into your soul's energy. So it's really bringing an individual into communion with the energy of their soul. And you ask out loud questions. And we ask that you repeat out loud what you receive. And some people I do it with, they just love the energy. And it's all soul guided, so I'll always ask, does your soul feel this is complete? What does your soul want to do next to continue on to other questions, other steps? And some people just, they won't answer. It's almost like the ego will take over, and they just, I just want to stay here. And well, does the soul want to move on? And they'll say no. I'm like, okay, then I'll trust it. And I've just sat for like 20 minutes with someone just, being in almost like a cocoon of love is how they were describing it to me. As I understand,
The soul is full of love. And when we come here, we get lost. We've forgotten how much love we have, for ourselves and everyone. And we're here to experience things while we've forgotten, to see how we evolve towards being more loving beings, to expressing who we truly are. So more and more of us are waking up and want to be connected with their souls. And in this world, we don't experience such unconditional love most of the time that our own soul will give us.
A lot of healing can happen, just people believing they're not worthy of that love. Right? And mediumship experiences can happen. You can connect to your own soul. That happens for everybody. You can also ask to connect to your own guardian angels. You can connect to a lost loved one. I remember one session. It was actually a friend of mine from high school, and he had lost a son at like 4 months old, and that's what came up. And it was just like I could see nothing was being said, but tears were flowing. He was having this emotional response, and we just stayed there and held that space. And then
now, how old was the son?
The son was 4 months old when he passed.
How old was the son when he was talking to it?
Oh, this was probably 3 years after that.
So it couldn't have aged too much.
No, it was the energy of the soul. So it wasn't the age of the personality. He said he was hearing words. It wasn't like he was hearing a 4-year-old talk to him, if that's what you mean.
Yeah, well, when young children pass over, they'll continue to progress up through their till maturity type stuff. So I didn't know how much of a time frame had passed. So I was just wondering what age of intelligence he was talking to.
If you're talking to your soul, that would be the higher intelligence, the overall intelligence. If you're
not so much
to it.
this incarnation or that particular incarnation.
Right. Yeah. So it's beyond the personality, and he just got like a lot of forgiveness and it wasn't your fault because it's one of the hardest things anyone goes through.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot of blame. No matter what happens, there can be a lot of blame and guilt. And he just said, he just felt that was just gone after the session.
Yeah.
And he didn't go into that with that was the idea. That's just what
who
soul wanted next to most support him.
No, I mean, if he'd known that, he might have avoided it.
Yeah.
You know, because you fear what you don't know.
Yeah. Well,
What effect did it have on him?
oh. And I heard from him like a couple weeks later, still referring to just this sense of calm and serenity he never had, and he even tried to share it with his wife, and felt that he could pass on that. Just a better sense of knowing that their child was at peace was probably the best way to put it.
We go to spiritualist church, well, Kathy too. We go to spiritualist churches, and that's a reoccurring message that comes from people that we're okay. It's if there's if there's one common message from people that have passed over, that's what it would be, is that we're okay.
Yeah. So maybe it's true.
The rest of it is just, kind of personal stuff, but that seems to be a reoccurring message.
Yeah.
I think basically it seems to me like the underlying vibration of the God force is unconditional love. And so that when we go into these altered states like you're talking about, we're touching the edge of that, and it's just very special to us.
Our
because
soul is connected to that God
Yeah.
force,
Yeah.
Yeah,
to the divine.
I'd say a deep modality. You're doing more than touching the edge. Like you were immersing
immersion.
in it.
Okay.
Yeah. Like that. So a soul entrainment session, I give it up to 2 hours because, again, it's not until the soul says I'm complete is it done. So I give it tons of space, and people still kind of be like out of it. I've just had to sit and like get people get back and get grounded and breathe deep, and even when I took my training, we would be practicing on each other and go in, and I was like, I couldn't drive home for a while. I did just like chill out and sit in my car in the parking lot and get back. All right, here I am in my body, yes, and this is a car, and how does everything work again? It can be very powerful. So I don't book them back to back. I gotta give them a lot of space.
And how does it affect you? Does it affect your energy? Because you're in the presence of this person that's bathed in the unconditional love.
Yeah, I mean, you can't help but feel it and be moved. But yeah, so as a soul entrainment practitioner, it's really holding the space, making sure it's a safe space for anything to happen, and having the confidence to not be freaked out or not to judge or to say, oh no, that's not a place to go. Just to trust in the energy, in the soul, in the divine guiding both of you through it.
Yeah.
Now, what kinds of things, like when, I understand sometimes when people go into the presence of the entrainment, sometimes they the loved ones come in or the angels, but when they're just talking to their own soul, what kind of things do they want to find out?
A session would start while I would just chat, and so I kind of call it's like a mix of talk therapy, hypnosis, and energy work. And so first off, I have my notepad out, and we kind of tell me your story and what are you interested in, and together we dig for the questions that you really want to ask. And you might come with them already, but kind of like the interview process helps uncover things, or I find that you keep saying the same phrase similar times, and I point it out, and oh yeah, that's what I want to know about, right? So healing, guidance, anything troubling, just why you would seek out help anywhere is the kind of things that people have come to soul entrainment for as well.
Is there any soul retrieval during the entrainment?
Not that I would. So that term to me brings up some shamanistic things, right? So there's no practice of that, but there are.
Like there's no past life stuff that comes through for the soul level?
Anything. It's what you ask and the highest intention that you're after. So I'm trying to think of some people have come and had a notion of past life experience if it helps heal them in whatever they're dealing with now.
Sort of then,
Yeah, so it's not the sort of thing like, oh, I mentioned my past lives, I'm going to do this and see where I go. It's not. I find that to be almost like an entertainment level of spirituality.
It's more like soul lessons. Of what you're doing for this lifetime.
And it's more healing.
Lessons you're trying to learn
right now.
I'm getting something else though. There is the possibility that it is not a soul retrieval as much as a greater connection with your soul thereafter.
Yeah, it's realizing there was like a missing part to retrieve.
A greater awareness of your divinity.
So in a way, though, you can get more whole in that regard. Now, how'd you get into learning about the soul entrainment?
Where did it all start?
And well,
Yes.
boy,
Where did the
okay.
whole concept come from is a pre-question to her
Yeah,
question.
free question, yeah.
All right. Well, so my journey I was very depressed and even suicidal as a young man. I've actually survived multiple attempts on my own life, and it was finally in my 30s that I discovered energy work. I didn't know what that meant, what it was, but I had an experience, and I felt energy surging through me and realized I was more than just a body. I wasn't just neurons firing. I wasn't just chemicals that weren't working right, and I wasn't just this broken person, which is what I had been taught to believe. So that pursued my own training, and I went through a year-long energy coaching program, but it was all to coach myself. It was all to clear my crud and clear myself out and find out what am I really. As that wrapped up, that was in 2010, I felt so good. I felt so powerful about these tools, and everyone I worked with were like, "You're really good at this." I'm like, so that's when I decided, all right, I actually will be a coach. From there, the graduation of energy coaching had an experience with the Akashic Records. And we opened the Akashic Records, and we had a record keeper come down and update our records. And I felt it. It was like a software upgrade for my spiritual DNA, for lack of a better term. So that got me interested in the Akashic Records. And it was always on my mind. Karen Polino Coria, who is the creator, the receiver of Soul Entrainment, has a center. That's where I learned Akashic readings. That's where I teach my own energy workshops. So it was all just very synchronistic.
Now, where is this?
She was in Pembroke, still is, Pembroke, Massachusetts. Yep. So I learned it there, and it was just to expand my own modalities. Once I got into energy work, I wanted to experience every flavor and type that there is. I just find it amazing. So Soul Entrainment was just, again, it's found it to be super powerful.
How did she? What's the history of it? How did she start it?
I believe it was 1996. She was going into
inspired.
meditation. Yeah, she was just in meditation asking, how can I know the soul better? And got this process.
That's simple.
Yeah.
I think she asked quite a few times.
Oh yeah, it wasn't a single like, hey, what's up with my soul? And here you
She
go.
persisted.
Yeah.
She persisted, and as she evolved past a certain point, she was able to receive the answers. She was doing quite a bit of work.
So she wasn't doing Akashic Records. She was
No.
specifically more interested in a personal communication with her soul.
Yeah, and she used it for herself. Right?
Yeah.
This is something she wanted to experience her soul better, and was gifted this process, worked, experimented, taught someone, did it with other people. Oh, others can learn this, and it's developed into this modality.
That's kind of, I don't know what you would call it. It's not bizarre, but it's kind of.
It's not bizarre, it's
it's-
inspired.
I guess it's another step towards, what is it, the fifth,
Dimension?
not
No.
the enlightenment of the planet. They got a song
Yes.
that talks about it. I can't remember what the
Oh,
song
okay.
was. The Age of Aquarius.
The Age of
type thing.
Aquarius.
So
The
this
dawning
is
of the Age
another-
of Aquarius.
The dawning of. So this is another doorknob.
Well,
in
it's
the
like
Age of Aquarius type
nobody
stuff.
knew about Reiki so many years ago.
Oh,
You
it's
know,
always
and,
been around.
and
Well,
no,
by-
it was
by
not
other names.
discussed. It may be in other names, but suddenly it became lots of people wanted to learn how to do Reiki, and many other energies. There are other energies that have been channeled. Theta healing is one of them, and that energy works with the soul, not the soul, the unconscious. And NLP's been around for quite a long time, and that works with the unconscious. Neuro-linguistic programming.
if you go into some of the older systems that have been around for thousands of years, the Huna, same stuff, different name. So,
That's right. I just call it all energy work. I don't get caught up in the labels and whatever.
no, I don't.
Now, you're associated with the Mystery School? Is that what that?
So
what is that?
that's the latest thing.
Okay.
Have you heard of mystery schools?
I've heard of it, but I don't really know what it is.
Right.
1,000
Separate-
years ago.
Yeah, right. So that's as much as I had heard of. But there is a modern mystery school, and the lineage goes back 3,000 years to King Solomon. In early January of this year, I met someone who was an initiate. She was involved with this mystery school, and they have a healing called a life activation. And I didn't know what it is. I was like, I love doing things that I don't know what they are. I did a before video in their parking lot. I went through the process. I came out, did another video in the parking lot, and I was just beaming and laughing and having a ball. And this year has been the best year of my life so far.
And what is it?
It's ancient. So I'm an initiate in the Modern Mystery School. So since I had the healing, anyone can get a healing. If it's modernmysteryschool.com is the website. But it goes back 3,000 years. This is the only public mystery school. Other mystery schools have survived, but they all stay closed. And if you get initiated, you learn some ancient rituals and practices. And why it is so important that its lineage is they were perfected 3,000 years ago. And they're taught in one specific way to do things. And I was like, well, I do lots of things, and I do the rituals that I've been taught in the mystery school every day, and again, I'm just having the best year of my life.
Is it like meditation though? Is it like a routine?
It's more rituals. It's not. There's some meditation aspects, but there are just different. It has to do with sacred geometry. There's specific ways to create and set intentions and affirmations.
Okay.
And it's just the backstory is amazing. King Solomon was aware of all the different. He could foresee that technology was going to allow people to travel and go beyond their tribes very soon. So he gathered all the best healers and teachers and shamans that he could find. They all worked together for 30 years to teach each other all of their techniques. And that's the foundation of the mystery school. So that is what has stayed and been taught on, often in secret. Sometimes it opens up to the public, then it goes back to being secret. And it's just survived all the wars and organized religion trying to drive it out. And
Well, that would be the hard part.
Yeah, that's why it often has to go underground.
I own an energy vortex out in Situate, Rhode Island. It's a very
You
major
don't
one.
own it. It's on property you own.
Whatever.
I'm renting some energy.
The fairies and gnomes and all of the elementals
The
own
thing
it.
is, we've had a lot of mediums out there that talk to a lot of people, non-physical people, non-physical fairies that have been there for 12,000 years. And before the white man came, every 2-3 years, all the healers and the mystics from all the different tribes in New England out to the Mississippi used to come to this site, and they would work together. So I'm not hearing it, but my thinking is that that was kind of like a mystery school in its own way.
Yeah, it's the gathering.
I mean,
who knows
Yeah.
if they
Of
formed
the
one,
best,
but
only the best of the best were allowed to go there.
Yeah.
And then I guess there had to be some kind of exchange of informations.
Yeah.
So, even
Yeah.
locally it existed, but
they-
it got stamped out
It's
or killed off.
it's a little bit more of the traditional native summer gathering where everyone got together, and then all of the shamans and leaders had a special gathering within maybe a special tent. But they
Is
had a
this what you're being
tradition.
told now? Why are you saying that? This is my question. Where's the information coming from? Shouldn't have asked. But it's interesting. It's interesting.
Well, it's coming from beyond me,
Okay.
and from a native elder, that they tried to get together every year to keep their lineage going, to keep, I'm getting the word, to stay enmeshed. I don't use terms like that. To stay connected. And there was a great deal of energy, what we call energy,
Yep.
that was involved.
Coming
lot of
from
it-
the ground or coming from the individuals?
A lot of it, I was hearing, a lot of it was herbal energy. A lot of it was ground energy. But there was enormous outpourings of energy from Great Spirit.
So we had a merging of the divine and the physical coming
There were
together.
many healings that occurred on those occasions. Many.
So is there any that relate to like the modern mystery school, or like some of that stuff that they just kept intact?
Yeah,
Like same mentality.
Right. The idea of lineage and not altering, not changing it, not,
Learning,
Keep it
knowing that it can
sacred
happen
from
and
the
learning how
original.
to do it.
Yeah.
Knowing that it exists enables you to learn it easier.
Yeah.
I mean, if you say, well, I'm going to learn mystery school, and you go sit in your tent by yourself with no input from other people, you might sit there for 5 years before you could get first step into what you had these people teach you in a day.
On top of which, one of the expressions that's come to me very often is, you can't live on top of the mountain. Nowadays, you have to take what you've learned and share it with others. We're being called to share.
Yeah. You don't know anything until you put it into action. And one of the greatest ways to put something into action is to teach it, to share it.
Yeah.
I've also heard this expression, you teach best what you need to learn.
That's interesting. I like that.
Well, yeah, because you need to be interested in the subject to learn it, to begin it, to teach it. So if it serves you.
I taught healing a few years back, and what I found, for me to teach it, I had to think about it more, of how to express it. So I think that kind of ties in with what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Well, I'm reminded of something that goes back, but there's a type of school where the older students assist the younger students, assist the younger students, assist the younger students. It's,
Progresses.
I can't remember the name of it. Oh, God. But Montessori, the Montessori school system.
Yeah.
And I sent my daughter for the first few years of her life. And the confidence she got by the time she was 6 and 7 years old from teaching younger ones. It wasn't we're watching over the younger kids, oh, how terrible. It was, she had a lot of confidence. She's a teacher now. Yeah. And she works with high school students, and she teaches sciences and chemistry and all of those things.
Interesting.
So but she had a lot of confidence. She got on the swim team. She did
very well.
Much more than I would have had at her age. And she learned better because she was helping others learn. And you do, as you were saying, you do clarify what you're teaching. My problem with teaching is I try to teach the whole subject all at once. I totally overestimate
Bits
what
and pieces
people,
are better.
I want people to learn it all.
And they can, just not at once.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
I totally overestimate what people can absorb, and I didn't absorb it that fast, so why do I think anyone else would?
You could actually teach healing in like 10 minutes. To get really good at it might take a dozen lifetimes.
Yeah.
It's not knowing what to do, it's changing the way you think about what you have to do.
Right.
That's the hard part, it's the intention.
To go back to soul entrainment, the soul knows,
Right.
And the mind thinks. Right. So yeah, to pass on something energetically, to have the soul know how to heal, but then you could do all this stuff to convince the mind to let go and give you steps. And
So
things to
what
do.
practical
It's one of our experiences over
benefits
here,
do
right?
people get?
Pardon me?
What practical benefits do people get by tapping into their internal divinity?
Unlimited. Right? It's the infinite divine. So the practical benefits are, it's what you bring to the table to begin with. What do you want to
What
heal?
does an average person get? an example of?
I've had people experience weight loss because that was the big thing they wanted about. You know, it
Physical?
cleared so physical healings, emotional healings, guidance, validation, insight. If you're asking your soul questions about, oh, I think I want to do this, or I remember someone, I feel like I should be moving to California, and the soul told them, yeah. You do. That's where you belong. So like, so it gave them much more confidence to act on what they already thought they wanted to do. But you know, it's you. Like if there's no session that you're talking to your higher self, you're talking to your full soul. So I've never had an experience of someone got just completely contradictory information that confounded
So
them.
our mind picks up the bits and pieces, though, that what our soul is trying to tell us. Though,
Yeah.
what we
Right. It
need
gets
to
the
do.
mind out of the way. Your thinking stops, and you experience
Right.
what it is you want to heal or what it is you want to know about.
Do you have people that can't make the connection to their soul?
I've had one person so far, and so if you're a visual person, it's easiest, just like visualizing anything. If you have meditation, it's an easier process. I had one person who was sure that they were horrible at they were so, and so we did the process, and he went to the experience, and just from the terms, there's a lot of judgment. My soul says I'm doing this wrong, right? And no, well, you're not really there, and but and as I looked at him, it was all this self-created block. There was nothing wrong, but he was so sure that there was something
do it.
wrong.
So his mind
that
was
you weren't
getting in
gonna
the
get
way.
beyond it. Yeah.
Yeah, his mind was getting in the way.
And the harder he tried, it's something you allow it.
So the answer is not normally.
Oh yeah, right.
No, I had somebody who when I first did some readings, and I asked him if I could do a reading, and he very reluctantly said yes. I said, don't worry, I won't see anything I'm not supposed to see. And I looked at him after 5 minutes. I said, you've successfully blocked it. So I didn't see anything. It's your loss.
It's definitely that mind over matter, though. It's like if your mind gets too much in the way, though, and too much of the, oh, I can't do this, I can't get connected, though, that blocks our
People
energy.
do that with healings,
connecting.
too.
Yeah. If that the mind gets in the way.
Well, some illnesses have gotten so entrained that people don't think they can get better. They don't believe they can get better.
That's what it's down to belief.
Yeah.
You're so used to your own history, you don't think something else is possible. So.
Well, last week, I was in a Citizens Bank, and I'm doing my business, and the teller next to her is shaking out Advils, handfuls or whatever. Seems like a lot of them she's getting out. And I said, something wrong? And she says, yeah, I have a headache. I says, is it a migraine or a regular one? She says, well, I've had it for 3 days. I said, well, come here, I'll fix you. And she looked at me funny, but she came around. I said, put your hand out. And I went, shh. And she's standing there trying to figure out where her headache is, trying to bring it back. I said, stop doing that or you're going to bring it back. And at that point, I was done, I left. But it was the look on her face, because it's not something our society does.
Yeah.
She couldn't accept that it was happening.
Yeah.
So she was trying to bring it back.
Yeah. I have to say, we're almost wrapped up. I have to say thank you very much for being our guest and giving us snippets of soul entrainment and a desire to check it out. I definitely am interested in learning it myself. Thank you, Ken Demers.
Yeah, we got
Thank
a little
you,
off
Kathy
track from what
Medeiros.
you were talking about, I'm afraid.
But it's all energy, and that's what the soul is. The soul is all love, energy.
Now, how can people get a hold of you if they want to discuss something further with you?
Yep, my website is Navitas Coach. That's Navitas Coach.com. Navitas is Latin for energy. And I don't let people just book soul entrainment. I always discuss it with them beforehand and make sure that's right, because it's best in person.
Where are you?
I'm in Littleton, Massachusetts, but it can be done over Skype. And we'll test it. If I can see you clear enough, I can decide that you're still having a process, even if you're not speaking to me. But it's best in
Right.
person.
And what is a typical session